it's me, Anna. I just wanted to take a cycle day 14 OPK. It's blank. Here's my cup down here. And then I also want to update you guys on my fertility appointment that happened yesterday. Okay, so there's the P going across there. So I had the ultrasound initially, and the doctor said that it's so round, it's likely a fibroid. And then I read online that doctors are 90% or like 95% accurate. Sorry, my hair's doing weird stuff. I have like a lot of static. Anyway, so I went in there thinking like, oh, I wish this was a polyp, because then I wouldn't need surgery, but he's probably right, it's a fibroid. So I was convinced that it was going to be the worst of the two. I went in, he checked me out. They used a speculum, and then it was a hysteroscope. I'm not saying that right. Anyway, it was like a long tube with a light and a camera on the end, and then it also spit out fluid, so he could spit fluid in there. I don't know really why, but probably to clear if there was any bleeding, he would clear it and stuff. So he went in, and it was uncomfortable, but it wasn't super painful. He poked it with the camera, and I could see that it would indent, and it would leave an indent after he was done. So he was like, oh, it's kind of squishy. So he said, that is likely a polyp. Usually you don't need surgery because, yeah, they're usually small. I also had a very tiny polyp in my cervix. Going through the little opening, there was just a tiny itty bitty baby one. It wasn't blocking anything, so he clipped that one. And then he said, well, I have other patients I need to see first, and then I'm going to come back and we'll put in another scope, and we'll just try to get it now. And I was like, thank God, before I ovulated, he's going to get rid of this thing. And it looked huge inside of me because the cavity of your uterus isn't that big. And so there was barely any like blackness around it, which would be like the depth of my uterus. So it was just like sperm could barely move around the mass. And I asked him, so would the polyp, since it's right next to my cervix, act as an IUD? And he said, absolutely. So this is why, part of the reasons why I can't get pregnant, which is nice to know that the reason why every single month is another failure. Now, I'm not trying to get pregnant this cycle. He didn't want me to, because when he clipped it, and I was holding onto my husband's hand the whole time, and the doctor told me, if this gets too painful, just let me know and we'll stop right away. This shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't be a painful visit. Just let me know. And I was just trying to like focus on my breathing and be really quiet. And then there was one instant, he was like, we're almost done. One instant after that instance, he clipped, and I could feel like a shooting pain. And so I was like, ow. And he's like, almost done. So he didn't stop, which is okay, because I didn't want him to stop. I wanted to get it all out and over with, and I didn't want to have to go into surgery. So I was happy for that. But I was like, you said you were going to stop, and you didn't. But I'm sure he was on the same wavelength. Like, I want to get this out. Surgery can be avoided, so might as well do that. Oh, so much static. Anyway. So he clipped it, and then he tried to grab it and pull it out, but my cervix was closed, and the mass was just too big. So he said, I cut off the blood supply. Oh, also, as he was cutting, he said, this is difficult to cut. It almost feels like a fibroid. So now we're sort of back to square one. I don't know if it's a fibroid or if it's a polyp, but I do know that they cut the blood supply, and it needs time to basically shrink down now that it doesn't have a blood supply making it plump, and then it can pass. So since yesterday, I've been spotting, cramping, bleeding very, very lightly, like pink, not even every time I go to the bathroom, just like every other time. When we came home, I wasn't really prepared for all the fluid that was going to be in me, so I got one of the hospital pads that were like this big and like that fat. It was huge. And I was like laying down in the seat because I was feeling kind of crampy and nauseous, and then my husband made me laugh or something, and then I felt like a gush, and I was like, oh no. I'm not in the right position to be laughing and gushing. So I came home and had to do a load of laundry. So TMI, I probably should have said that before, but if you're watching this, you want TMI. So, okay, so I'm just waiting on my blood work, which should be back by Friday, maybe Tuesday of next month at the latest. And then he wants me to wait for my period. On cycle day 1, call him, get a prescription for more antibiotics, because he wants to go in again with the scope and check out my insides and just make sure everything was fine and gone and no more polyps, no more fibroid things. Yeah, so he wants to do that before I ovulate next cycle. So I'm assuming he also wants me to take Clomid. I don't know though. Yeah, so I guess I'm just waiting to hear back about my blood work. And until then, I will be using OPKs to see if I am ovulating or close to ovulating. Okay, it's getting dark. That means tomorrow or the next day, I will get a positive, which would be cycle day 15 or 16 for me, which is cool. I mean, that's totally normal, and I really like that. I'm ovulating in a normal way, with the help of Clomid, and yeah, oh, so he went in there, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to get my period for another couple weeks. Why can't you just go in there and take it out in a week or two? Like, you've already cut it out. And he said that the lining of my uterus was so thick that he could barely get in there now. Which is good, I think, to have a thick lining, because I heard that Clomid thins out your lining. So that's positive, that my lining is still plush, but it kind of just sucks that I can't get it out right now. He said that if I pass the polyp or fibroid, it should be about the tip of my finger. Seems kind of big. Anyway, the tip of my finger type fleshy thing that's coming out. But I haven't passed anything. I've like sloughed off stuff, so there's like little bits, but nothing major. I did have like one really intense cramp last night as I was going to bed, but I was kind of excited last night because I was watching the Seminoles beat Auburn in the championship, so I was super happy. Woo! So I was all hyper and excited and like pumped, and then I tried to sleep and I was like too excited to sleep. But then as soon as I relaxed, I got that huge cramp, and so I was like, oh, this sucks. And I thought for sure I'd pass something last night, but I didn't. Okay, well, that's it for my long rambling update. Go Seminoles, Florida State University. I'm wearing my garnet and gold today, FSU colors. Very subtly, but showing my pride. All right, bye ladies.